mid-morning, Roxy Soxy.
Good, almost my bedtime, Tannen.
Almost your bedtime. You suck. I wish it was my bedtime because I feel like I'm only able to be happy when the kids are asleep and it's bedtime.
There's something about that jewel of an hour after they go to sleep, but before you go to sleep, where it's like quiet in the house and maybe there's Netflix on and maybe not, like,
I know,
but just the quiet is like enough.
But I feel like, don't you just like sit there and then do, like, you think you're gonna have this amazing night, right? You think you're gonna watch this great movie and it's like just like another The Godfather or Pulp Fiction. You'll just find something on Netflix that will be so good, and then you'll sit there and you're like, think about, like, it'll be so great, but don't you just end up just sitting there and like flicking on your phone or Instagram and then like turning on something like really crappy on Netflix and just be like, what is this? I feel like Netflix, I love them, but they make, like, when they make their own movies, they're so bad.
Totally. Oh my God, that happens so much. And then you're right. You start flicking the social media. Tell me if you do this too. Oftentimes, when I'm flicking through the Netflix menu, I get stuck on the menu and then I never commit to anything.
Oh my God. My husband and I literally every Friday night, we're like, we're going to watch a movie. We spend an hour flicking through everything and then we fucking give up. And then we just, like, he's asleep. And then I'm mad that he's asleep and we didn't have sex. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, just watch literally every trailer of bad Netflix films. Like, literally, that is my entire night. That is my evening.
Totally. It like takes up the entire time and you're like, I didn't see anything. Maybe you didn't even get
too much content. It's too much content. And by the time my husband is asleep, I don't know if David falls asleep like really easily, but my husband will sit there and he'll have the remote freaking control in his hand. And he'll be like, I'm not tired. And I know when he starts scratching his head, like, I get so anxious and angry at him. And I know I need to, like, be like, you know what? The poor guy is tired. He's up with the kids early. Like, he lets me sleep in an extra hour. I should be super empathetic, but I'm not. I know the minute his hand gets to scratching his head, I'm like, oh my God, it's 20 minutes and he's going to fall asleep. And he'll be like, I'm not tired. And they get mad. I'll be like, I know you're tired. He'll be like, I'm not tired. And then within 10 seconds, he's got the remote control and he's like asleep with the remote control in his hand.
You're like, once that head scratching starts, we know that.
Oh, I know. And I do the whole, like, I keep looking at him. I'm like, are you watching? Are you watching? Are you watching? Do you do that?
So confession time. I'm the one that falls asleep because
I would never be able to be married to you. You and my husband should be married. Seriously. The two of you can just be like the lame people who are like literally asleep in front of the Netflix.
Totally. And like, my husband and I have already like argued about what we're going to watch. Like, I'm like, no, we're going to watch this. And he's like, no,
we must. And he's like, fine. And then you're like,
yeah, exactly. And he's stuck with some rom-com, whereas like he just wanted to watch like the latest like rock movie or something.
Well, David and I are going to like hang out and watch movies and you and Sean can just be lame and sleep. So
sounds like a plan. I'm in.
Well, our next guest is not, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he just had a baby. So his wife just had a baby. So like maybe he is falling asleep watching rom-coms. I don't really know. But we have an amazing guest. We just did his podcast and now he's come on our podcast. So I would love to continue the conversation. So who do we have up next, Roxy Soxy?
Well, I am so excited and I know you will be too, because we have a multi-hyphenate brand builder on our show who's got this amazing journey to share with us. He is the CEO of True Life Ventures, which is a consulting company. But within that, I mean, he's doing so much. He's a podcast host. He's an author. He's a motivational speaker. He's a life coach. And I have a feeling he's going to leave us with some really amazing advice today. So welcome, Mike Ashabi.
Thank you guys for having me.
The sign looks very straight behind your head.
Yes.
All right, don't call me out. You guys know we were struggling to make it straight.
No, it looks good now. It definitely looks good. I'm always like, I don't know what's behind me. There might be a dirty diaper and a naked child. So we will see how this goes.
Exactly. So Mike, give us a little insight. I know we talked a lot about women empowerment and some really cool topics on your show, but just so our listeners know, can you tell them about how you got started creating this amazing company, True Life Ventures, and becoming like a life coach?
So it's actually interesting because the whole personal growth and development industry, I thought it was complete garbage before I got into it. I got into it when I needed it myself, right? So a lot of people, we're all going through different experiences, and we never really think that we're going to hit a certain point in our lives And about 6 years ago, I got to a point where I did want to commit suicide. And it
Goodness.
wasn't until I heard I was going through some issues with my ex. I was constantly, pouring out for her, doing everything for her, but nothing for myself. Right. And at that point, she was doing things left and right, cheating, I never really had the proof, but when you know what I mean? But it got to a point where it was, almost 2 years of all this stuff going on, and I just kept brushing it under the rug. And it got really to a point where for a full month straight towards the end of our relationship, I completely disengaged from my family, my friends, stopped skateboarding. I was a huge skater back in the day, snowboarder. And I got super, super depressed where I didn't leave my apartment for a month straight. I would just sit there, smoking weed, listening to music from the minute I woke up to the minute I went to sleep. And at that point, I thought I found something in the music. There was like little pieces from different songs that I was putting like the words together. I was like, wait, is somebody talking to me? You know what I mean? And I started going crazy. And it got to a point where I was telling her everything. And, I'm not going to lie, I probably did go crazy. It was, I was analyzing word for word on every song that I was listening to. And it got to a point where, I kind of disregarded what she was doing. And then the day before this whole big event happened, I realized that she was doing something with another guy, through text or whatever. And I basically started calling her out on every single thing that she's ever done in our relationship. And she started crying like I'd never seen her cry before. So she wanted to leave my apartment, but we were living together, right? So I didn't feel comfortable with her leaving because 3 months prior to all this happening, I found fresh cuts on her wrist. And I didn't want her to leave and go hurt herself or anything like that. So I called her mom. Her mom picks up, I'm telling her what's going on. And, she grabbed the phone out of my hand, left the apartment. And then at that point, I still didn't feel comfortable because I know she was lying left and right to her parents. So I called the cops. When I called the cops, they got there and she told them that I wouldn't let her leave for 30 minutes straight. So I got arrested with unlawful restraint and spent a night in jail. Now, everything got dropped in court, but her family put a restraining order on me for 8.5 months. And at this point, I was a college dropout, unemployed, smoking pot every single day, doing drugs. And it was, for a month after all this happened, I really was contemplating, got to a point where I was very close to committing suicide until I actually heard the words of Eminem, where he said, now I could have either sat on my ass and pissed and moaned or take the situation in which I'm in and get up and get my own. And I think that was really the start of my personal growth and development journey, because I started listening to other people and I started relating to their stories and seeing where they went after, they hit rock bottom. And it really inspired me to want to be a voice for somebody else in a similar situation. So that's kind of really the start of it all.
Yeah, because I feel like not everyone gets as low as that, right? I've definitely hit my lowest points in times of my life. And then I do believe we have free will. And it's at that point when we hit our rock bottom to us. So what we feel like is our lowest, which actually was, I've hit a few lows. Like I had a severe eating disorder when I was younger. Also, when I had the miscarriages, I hit lows at those times in my life. You get up one day and you go, I can either stay in this perpetual cycle or I can do something and I can change. And change, like we were talking about in your podcast, is really effing hard and it doesn't feel good and it's uncomfortable. But I truly believe that the only way to real growth is to walk into that dark place and walk into that discord, uncomfortable situation to like try to figure out your triggers and your trauma, because the other isn't keeping you safe. Staying at home, we think it is. Like I have anxiety, right? So sometimes I'm like, oh, if I don't go out, I'll feel less anxious. Well, it doesn't really help anything. I just kind of feel anxious at home. Like it's not doing anything. So it's like you make that decision and I feel like you hit your rock bottom and you made that decision. And I know a lot of people who listen to this because they DM me a lot about it. They feel stuck. And they feel like they're in the position that you were in. I get and I get very overwhelmed by this because people go like, I don't want to live anymore. What should I do? And I go, well, firstly, go see something. Like, don't ask me. I'm just a person. I'm just an actor who loves you. And I don't know how to give you the tools, but you do. This is what you've based a lot of your life on. So what do you say to someone who's like in that position, who's stuck, who, yes, it's easy for me to say like, it's either A or B, do something about it or stay stuck. But what are some like practical tools that people can actually use to help them get unstuck?
You know, I really think it comes down to disengaging, you know, realizing that, you know, the world's not happening to you, it's happening for you, right? Exactly. It's a shift in perspective. And that's something that Tony Robbins talks about all the time. But ultimately, it's a lot easier said than done. I think that disengaging and realizing that, you know, that dark, excuse my language, shit that you think
you can say anything you want on this show.
Well, you know, that quote unquote dark shit is really the light, right? Because at the end of the day, you have to realize what you go through is your gift really to overcome obstacles and become the greatest version of yourself. And I think it's shifting that perspective and, you know, constantly telling yourself that, you know, it's not happening to me, it's happening for me to really grow through adversity and grow into my greatest version. And, you know, something that I don't know if you guys are familiar with Evan Carmichael, are you? So he's another, you know, great entrepreneur. He does a lot of blogs on various top entrepreneurs and their mindsets. And, you know, I was on the phone with him one night and he told me this very powerful quote that changed my life. And he told me, your ruin is your gift to give back to the world. And what he means by that is,
can you say that one more time?
Your ruin is your gift to give back to the world. So what that means is what ruins you and puts you in your all-time low and you get through it is your gift to go seek out other individuals going through a similar situation and help them get through it. Right. And I think that during those times, you know, that you're going through that tremendous amount of adversity is really that opportunity to realize that, look, your message. We all have a story. But
your message. I love that. Sorry, keep going. I love that. That's
good.
my new tattoo. My message is my message. See, Roxy, that's why I'm such a fuck up, okay? My message. Sorry, keep going.
Look, I mean, like at the end of the day, we all have a story and really owning your path and, you know, the adversity that you go through, you know, all your trials and tribulations is really what's going to make you into the person that you're meant to be. And realizing that it's happening for you to grow. You know, shifting that perspective is really what's going to help you embrace your true self and bring your truth to the world.
You know, I think it's really interesting too, because you're saying we all have something that's happened to us, or we've all gone through bad times. So and there are others out there that are going through the same thing. So I think I agree, like, to share your story is so valuable, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But I wanted to ask you about something you said on the podcast when we came on the show. You said that the first 3 hours when you wake up, you don't look at social media, you don't look at your phone. And I'm just wondering, what do you do in those 3 hours? Are you like,
well, now he just has a kid, so I'm sure he's going to be changing a lot of dirty diapers.
Shitty diapers.
I mean, right now, definitely changing diapers. Right now, I'll give you that. I mean, so it was a little bit different a couple months ago, about 5 months ago, when I first, you know, so I just opened up a new in-house office, right? So I was transitioning from remote to in-house. And, you know, there's been a lot of obstacles that I'm facing there, you know, building the team and everything like that. So it's a little bit different now. Prior to me opening up the office, I used to be at the gym. Now I'm losing it. I'm literally back to being a twig, right? So it's something I actually took from David Goggins. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but I would go to the gym and, you know, not listen to music or anything like that, because everything that we're consuming actually has a major influence on, you know, our thoughts and our perspective. So it was me and my mind only. So what I was doing there was really disengaging from all the external noise, really to identify what was valid to me and what was invalid based off of external influence. So it kind of brought clarity to me to bring more confidence that what I'm thinking about is really my own thoughts. And I think that that's a huge factor, especially in the morning, when you can disengage and really validate that your thoughts are your thoughts and not influenced by external influence. I think that's a huge game to really being more on top of your game and really knowing how to maneuver, you know, in the world.
Tammy, do you think you can do that? Can you disengage, not look at your phone for 3 hours when you wake up?
Well, you can't start off there.
Not in Australia, because honestly, like, again, I told you, Roxy, like, I wake up and it's your end of your day. So I have like 35 emails. I honestly get up and the first thing I do is turn on my phone and respond to people on email, because I know I'm already so far behind the 8 ball with that. I I don't think I could do 3 hours at all. I just don't. But
I
I
got a
do
better
think
challenge.
that I do think that I would like to get up earlier, but I hate getting. I would like to get up at like I get up at like 6:45. I'd probably like to get up at 5:45, but I do believe in sleep, and sleep really helps my anxiety, and I can't function. I know myself, right? It's like checking in. We were talking about this on your podcast. Like you have to know yourself to know like what's going to make it work for you. And for me, if I don't sleep, I'm not able to perform. I'm not able to do my podcast. I mean, I can, but not to the best of my ability. I can't think straight. I get anxious. So I have to sleep. And the problem is when you work so hard, like when you're an entrepreneur and you're constantly like creating things and creating content and getting back to people, you're your own business. So I really work. Like last night I worked until 12:45 at night. And then my husband let me sleep until 6:45. Which is like very nice of him because he has to get up earlier with the kids. But, you know, I don't like any less sleep for me, I don't think is going to help me ultimately for the goals I want to achieve. So, you know, but I do believe in getting up and having a better mindset when it comes to getting up. And I have changed when it comes to like, I wake up and I say, today's going to be an amazing fucking day. I say it every day now. I say today I'm going to get opportunities. I'm going to make great money. It's like, I literally say that every single day. It's now become a habit and my life is completely changing because of that habit. But I do believe that there are more habits that I could have in my life that would better the first half of my day. I do go straight to the gym, but I think that there's like meditation, breathing exercises, like having a nice breakfast, maybe with the family. I don't know how realistic it is, but like some nice oatmeal or whatever it is. It's kind of like everything's always rushed. Everyone's stressed. I'm always irritable. Like it's a hard thing to get that morning routine down in a positive way.
Can I jump in for a second?
Please.
So I think that the anxiety comes from your perspective, right? You're saying I have to do this. I have to be, you know, I have to be responding to all these emails. I have to go ahead and do this.
But then they say, where, like literally I was on this and there's a text that says like, why haven't you responded? I'm like,
Well, I'm going to give you something, ready? I'm going to give you something. First of all, if you're not taking the time for yourself to be at the peak state of mind, you're not going to be able to be present and
I agree.
contribute at the highest capability when you're engaging with other individuals, right? So if you can't do something for yourself, you're not going to be able to do it for other individuals. But let me ask you something. If I gave you $1 million, but tomorrow you couldn't wake up, would you take it?
But I couldn't wake up?
Yep.
Like I was dead?
Yep.
I mean, I would probably say no. And the reason is because the yes answer would be like, yeah, give it to my kids, whatever. I feel like I could make so much. I could do that 10 times over with my kids and spend time with them. So I'd say no.
Okay. So what if I gave you $10 million and you couldn't wake up tomorrow? Would you take it?
But what's the point? Is the point that it could help my family?
No, just in general.
No.
Would you take the money? What about 100 million?
No.
No.
So we could both agree right there and then that life is more valuable than money, right? So every morning that you wake up, you know, shifting your perspective to not, I have to do this, I get to do this. You get another opportunity every single day. You're breathing, right? So that shift in mindset gives you a sense of even more gratitude that's going to allow you to be fully present in all your engagements throughout the day and really be able to contribute to your highest ability.
Yeah.
It's really
I do believe, I mean, Roxy and I was saying gratitude is like the number one thing that actually shifts your perspective.
It's because like we were saying, you know, it's hard, you know, it's hard to not look at the things you don't have, but once you look at the things you do have and you're truly grateful for them, then things start changing because like we were talking about before, you know, I wasn't really in like, I was thinking manifesting was so woo woo and like, why do people do this? And does it really work? And all this stuff. And so once I started kind of stepping back and like really just paying attention to what I actually already have and just being grateful for it, but then also putting out there what I want, it changed things. And like you're saying, Tammin, it did. I mean, it works. It works.
Well, let me ask you this. Have you guys ever realized that, you know, it's always the place where you least expected it to be? You know, the answers are always in the place that you least expect it. For example,
or the easiest places. You know, sometimes I think we think like, well, what is the meaning of life, and what's the purpose, and where am I supposed to go? And it's like, well, the meaning of life, I truly believe, is love. Number one, like I think that's the whole meaning of life, and then your purpose is to do what you love and to love and be loved. I mean, that's my purpose. And then anything else is just either gravy and great, or it's distraction.
So real quick, you said the meaning of life is love, right? So let's take it a step back. How can you love somebody if you don't love yourself? So I actually think that it's reversed from what you said. First, it's you having the capability to love yourself and then love another individual, because you're not going to be able to do it for anybody else if you don't love yourself. So let me ask you this. In your opinion, what's the definition of self-love?
Acceptance.
Okay, so coming from understanding.
Mm-hmm.
My opinion, the definition of self-love is self-discipline. If you truly love yourself, you're going to stay disciplined to do whatever it takes to get the life that you want. If you're not staying disciplined to do whatever it takes to get the life that you want, do you really love yourself?
But isn't that pressure, like for women, and Roxy, you should let me know how you think. Like, I have to be careful with discipline because, you know, as someone who comes from an eating disorder background, I haven't had it for 10 years. I was so disciplined, right? I was so disciplined because I wanted the body I wanted. The problem is that discipline can sometimes turn into control, and then control can kind of ruin your life or almost ruin my life. So I have to be careful with, like, because sometimes if I'm not disciplined, then I feel guilty and ashamed that I didn't drink as much water as I wanted because I wanted to work out or just sleep. So that's probably why for me it's more acceptance. What do you think, Rox?
I mean, I think, yeah, I'm more kind of along the acceptance line, and then just really showing the love that I show my family and, like, you know, friends and things like that, and really turning it on myself and accepting, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? So it's like not being self-critical and not being so hard on myself and letting like the faults be the faults, you know. I mean, and I'm not saying don't improve yourself and like don't try for better for yourself, but to not be so hard on yourself.
And maybe women are different because women have so much pressure. Like for men, it's like when men are more disciplined, then they probably achieve more. For women, I feel like if they're more disciplined, they almost like don't like themselves because they feel like if they're not, then they fail.
I mean, I kind of disagree a little bit. All right. And I'm gonna throw
I
you
love
guys
this show. I love to agree to disagree.
I mean, at the end of the day, you know, you guys were talking about control, right? So at the end of the day, having control over yourself and knowing what's good and what's bad for you, and then focusing on what's good for you, you know, it just comes down to awareness, right?
Right.
And I think that that's going to allow you to stay disciplined in the areas that's more healthy for you. And when you really love yourself, you're going to stay on those healthier habits for yourself to allow you to live the life that you want.
But then you've got like external factors also playing into all these things, right? You've got people saying, you know, one person saying to you something this and then that, and then like looking at TV and seeing like how women are portrayed, for example, in media, you know, and how like, you know, we're expected to be beautiful and skinny and, you know, all the things. And it's like,
and after birth.
Yeah. And after birth, having to bounce back. And like, so it's like, I think for men too, in that sense, it's very different because it's not like you guys are watching a movie and being like, God, I wish I was as skinny as like, name the actor or actress, you know, and like, so I think it's like the value is placed differently, you know.
When you also have babies, like your stomach, for example, like if you want to be in the best shape of your life as a woman, that's great. You can be as disciplined as you want to. The problem is after you've had babies, I mean, I had two 10-pound babies. So my stomach, I'll always have skin on my stomach that there'll be nothing you can do unless you cut it off. There's nothing I can do about that. So it's like, I can get into the best shape as I can, but it might not be the perfect shape for what society considers as like, well, that is the body. Do you know what I mean? So like, I do feel like for women, it can be different when it comes to certain things.
But then you guys are contradicting yourselves. Because if you go back just for what we were saying, you guys are talking about acceptance, right?
Yeah. So like, meaning like, I would rather accept myself than drive myself into the ground to get the perfect body.
Right.
100%. So that comes down
but I want the perfect body.
Here's the thing, ready? So acceptance is allowing to make yourself feel a certain way, good about who you are internally and bringing that to the externally. Now, when you're looking at, you know, movies and seeing what other people look like in comparison, now you're looking at comparison, you're focused on the external validation rather than the internal. And that's where that shift, that self-awareness needs to come into play and realize what makes you feel good. You know, who knows, you know, exercising and having the body that you want might make you feel good, but is that contributed through external factors or is it based off of your progression, which comes down to internal, you know, the internal validation? When you're doing what you love and you know that you're fully able to contribute to your highest frequency, that's true progression. That's where you really get internal validation rather than, okay, hey, you know what? Do I have this house? Do I have the shoes? Do I have the cars, the look? Because that's all external. But internally is how you feel about what you're doing on a daily basis.
And maybe it's like, maybe you want the house or the dream house because you want to provide for your family and you want to have that safety. Then that's probably internal, right? But the external would be, well, I want the house so that Joe and Jane down the street go, oh, she's super successful because she has that big house. So, I agree. I think that you just got to figure out the why you want things and decide if it's because of what people think of you or it's because of how you actually feel, is good for you.
Right. It's the intention, it's like what the reason is.
Definitely. I mean, if you're doing it for external factors like the neighbors seeing what you have, etc., success without fulfillment is ultimate failure. You could have all this stuff, but if you're not truly fulfilled internally and you know that you're not doing it with the right intentions behind it, you're not going to be happy. Right.
Yeah.
And fulfillment is the key ingredient to happiness. So doing it for yourself and, the people in your internal environment, the people that are most valued, like your family, your husband, wife, etc., that's really what's going to bring happiness to your life because you know that you're able to contribute to your highest level.
It's human nature, right? It's human nature to look at the external things and do comparison and do sort of things. And I think that like, it's great to be on an amazing journey like that. But the truth is some people aren't, and it's like, if they feel like they're not doing something correctly or like at their utmost potential, then it makes them even more down and they kick themselves even more. So I think maybe what we say is like, as long as you're sort of like making some steps and like kind of making your way to get that, then that's winning. That's it. It's like, maybe it's not like the end goal, but it's like you're making your way on that journey.
100%. I mean, making your way is progression, right? So at the end of the day, look at it like this. Ready? So I always tell everybody, your potential is your worth. So utilize your full potential to go get what you're worth, right? When you're doing it for internal reasons that you're actually trying to fulfill, being able to contribute at the highest frequency, that you're progressing everything that you're doing is staying disciplined on your intentional actions on a daily basis to getting a step closer to that specific frequency or level of your life, right? And I think that's where we need to start focusing more than, okay, doing it for, like you guys are saying, I believe before my podcast, keeping up with the Joneses or things like that for that external validation. What's really going to bring fulfillment to your life? You have to do the work to understand what's going to bring you fulfillment, what's most important to your life, and then going ahead and validating your understanding of what you have, what you want, and then validating by taking action in line with what you understand.
So on your podcast, on your Instagram, you had said that, if you want to be successful, you have to be all in. So what happens when your mom, like a female and your mom or your parent can work both ways. And, I feel like my biggest issue right now is that I'm time poor. I have 30 emails to get back to like right this second. I have people asking for things. I'm auditioning for a few things. I start a movie next week. Like I'm doing a podcast. My agent just called me while we're on the podcast right here. It's like, I feel like I'm time poor and I feel like I'm not doing the best that I can do in each category. And the problem is like, if you want to be successful, you have to be all in. But how do you do that when there's just I feel like I'm drowning, like there's too much on my plate to be at the level of success that I would like to be?
Well, I mean, I think it comes down to prioritizing. Okay, what's most important to you? Prioritize that. What's second most important to you? Make sure that you're taking action, in order. What's going to get you the most sense of fulfillment, the most happiness, because you're not going to be able to really contribute in any level if you're not getting that sense of fulfillment and happiness. So it's really understanding what is my list of priorities, in what order, and then making sure that you're taking consistent daily actions in order to make sure that you're making the most out of your priorities.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's like step by step, but it's hard, like when you're a mom and you've got kids running
and your parties are kids.
Yeah. When you've got the kids running in and there's no like time, it's not like we as working moms, it's very hard to just say, okay, for these 3 hours or whatever.
I'm
in
going
the
to
morning.
work. Right.
I'm only going to work when your kid is like screaming in the background, you know, trying to get your attention, or your husband is like asking for something. You know, it's very hard to kind of, I feel like I was much better at doing that before I had kids, you know, where it
but
was
then
like,
maybe
right?
Roxy, it's about like, it's really about setting up success. Maybe it's about that. For example, like if something meant so much to you, then you would put Bray in a camp or a babysitter, or and then it comes back to financially. A lot of people go, well, you know, I can't just throw my kids and have a nanny full time because that costs money, or I can't do daycare full time because that costs money. So what I've started to do, which has actually been super successful, is batching. So I started to batch because I have so many different platforms and content. And so I start batching content, right? So like every Monday I'll shoot like 7 TikToks, so that literally I don't even have to think about TikTok for the rest of, because it's a platform that's almost at 1 million, and you know, that's a business as well. So like, and now I have 7 TikToks, so I don't even have to worry about it for the rest of the week. Then I'll try to, like, we've been trying to do that too with our podcast, like we batch it. So maybe it's like, for success, if you can't be all in all the time, maybe you just have to be all in and in specific ways, in specific times, and kind of just like, you know, have the sitter for the entire day on a Monday, and then just get all your stuff done on a Monday, you know, and then like maybe Tuesday be with the kids. So maybe it's like, you can be successful. You're just going to have to figure out smarter ways to do it.
Who says you can't, you know, be all in all the time? Just because you have kids does not mean that you can't involve them and make it fun for them and lead by example and show them what it really takes to be the person that they're meant to be, and just make it a little game for them. Have them contribute, have them involved, and just have it in a way that they're contributing in a way that benefits you, but also that is not fully distracting you.
Okay, my kids are going to come on for the rest of the podcast.
I was like,
okay, kids, this is my 2-year-old.
Hey, by all means, let's make it interesting. I'll interview them.
Yeah,
she might have poop on her hand, but we shall see when she walks in the door.
Maybe we can have them start writing our pitch emails. I mean, could be fun.
That'd be super funny. But I agree with you. You can make it. You can make it like. You can make it like a fun activity, or maybe it's just like, you know, you're going to go do this and, you know, go to the zoo. And when we get back, like, we're going to really like have, you know, do something to involve them as well. Like, absolutely agree.
Exactly. I mean, kids, they just want to be involved, right? So like, for example, let's say you have emails, right? And you just need to organize the emails, not respond. Don't have them respond. But you can say, hey, you know what? Organize these emails for me. You see this one, they all go together. This one, they all go together. You know, put them in different folders for me. And at the end, you know what? We're going to spend 30 minutes together outside doing this, right? Make it a reward for them, make it fun. So this way you can actually hyper focus and utilize your time while they're doing that. And guess what? Both are benefiting you because they're helping. And then 2, now you're spending more time, quality time with your family. And you're teaching them self-discipline, because now they understand what it takes to get where you are in life. And now you're leading by example for your kids.
That's a good point, because that's like actually one of the things I think about as a parent, is really trying to instill that and show that it is like a journey, and it's very hard work, because it's easy for some of these kids. You know, I mean, I feel fortunate. I know Tammin feels fortunate for, you know, what we're able to provide for our kids, but not everybody has that, you know, and it's trying to instill that work ethic and that appreciation and that gratitude in them at this age, you know.
I also tell my kid now, like in the beginning, I used to feel so guilty. I'm always like, she's like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to work. She's like, well, why are you leaving me? And I say, because I love to work. Like, I love working. Doesn't mean I love you any less. I love it. And it provides for you. And it makes me also enjoy, like, I enjoy it, because I think in our parents' generation, it was always kind of like, well, my mom stayed at home and helped my dad. They had a business together, but my dad was the one who'd always like leave and come back and leave and come back, like go to work and come back at 5. So it's very traditional in that way. And I think Roxy was kind of similar in your end, but it's like, you know, now my kids see both parents working, like, and, you know, I'm also teaching them about money, and I'm teaching them about like saving. Like, we go to a store and I say, like, Phoenix goes, well, I want this Christmas tree. And I'm like, but this Christmas tree and this Christmas tree, this one will save us more money. And then it means like, we'll be able to use that and get something that's even greater down the road. So she's learning through our example of like what we do. And I think I think 5 years ago, I wouldn't have been telling her that I enjoy working and I enjoy making money and I enjoy I wouldn't have told her that.
Yeah, I think too, because like I mean, I'm sure this is probably for you too, like the guilt, right? Because you've been told that you need to be like 1,000% a mom, 1,000%, working, and you need to be able to balance and 1,000% like a spouse. So it's like you need to be able to balance all these things. And if you feel like there's like a shortcoming somewhere, then you feel guilty. So I think that too, like we've kind of like matured a little bit maybe in our parenting and like really learning about ourselves. But I do think that the teaching them about money is really important, because we had that financial expert on here a couple of weeks back, Tanya Rapley. And she was like, let your kids play with money, let them not play with money, but let them use money, and see how it is. And so lately, like my daughter's been getting, money for chores, and she said, yeah, it's really good. And it's like, we give her money for chores and she's been saving it because she really wanted a toy. And so my husband took her, they went to look at toys. She didn't have enough money for the toy that she wanted. So she had to get a different toy, but she learned the lesson that just because she wants it doesn't mean she's going to get it, and it's like, she had to learn to compromise and stay within her limits, which was interesting. I thought,
I love that.
And I honestly think that's like one of the most important things that you could do as a parent is really instill financial literacy into your kids, because, if you really look at it in today's society, 76% of people live paycheck to paycheck, right? Over 84%, I think it is, can't even, pass a basic financial literacy test. And at the end of the day, if you don't understand money, you're not going to understand how to manage it and delegate it properly.
And how to make it.
Right.
Exactly. And to me, I have my own views on money. I don't save. My wife is a little bit different. She's a saver. I'm the spender, right? I don't believe in saving money. I think as soon as you get it, invest it, right? Because at the end of the day, if it's sitting in the bank, if it's sitting in the bank,
that's kind of saving, but I get it. It's like a different sort of saving. I was like, you're like,
I'm
I just
creating
spend
more
all my
cash flow,
money. No, but investing is great.
I mean, I'm creating more cash flow opportunities, right? I mean, you have to have various sources of income in order to really build a life for a family and really be able to provide for them. I think that sitting in the bank, what is it doing there? Nothing. So if you could leverage that money and put it somewhere else and teach your kids to do that too, they're going to have a huge advantage down the line.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's a good point. So for like our kids, especially coming up, since we're all parents here, I mean, what do you think are some of the most valuable lessons, not only just with money, just with like personal growth and their mindset, and like really getting them to a place where they want to, constantly, improve and do better and go on these types of journeys? What do you think is the best thing we can tell them?
Well, first thing, let's make something clear. I only been a parent for a week.
Right.
I don't have too much experience. All right.
Yeah,
So
you
I
will
just wanna be
soon.
completely
Didn't you?
transparent and honest.
When I saw a child come out of my body, I was like, it changed everything. You've had that shift now. Your whole perspective on life just changes. I'm not saying it can't in different ways, but like when you see like a human come out of a human, you're like, what? I know we just talk about it like it's so random. We're like, yeah, just humans get born out of here. I'm like, I get the whole point, but it's like an actual, like I remember looking into her eyeballs. I remember it so well and just being like, I made eyeballs. Like I made eyeballs. Like she can see the world because I made those eyeballs. And I just kept saying to myself,
you and your husband made it.
Yeah, sure. But I kind of really made it. He was there for 2 seconds of the fun. No, but I was like, it was like growing in my body. Like, wow, like ever since I remember that moment, my whole life, my whole idea of life and just completely shifted.
Well, to get back to your point, I think that the most valuable things that we could teach our kids is confidence. And I think that comes down from leading by example, because at the end of the day, self-esteem is built the first 7 years of life, right? And what we don't even realize is that we're passing on our self-esteem to our kids, because who are our kids most surrounded by, the most, during the first 7 years of life? Their parents, right? So their fears are being instilled in in your kid. Like your fears are being instilled in your kids, whether you like it or not, and you know it or not too. You're instilling those thoughts, those perceptions, those beliefs in your kids because they're surrounded by it nonstop, right? So I think that really opening up their eyes to real confidence. And you do that through leading by example to show them what it really takes to build the life that they want. You know, I think that's like the biggest thing, not telling them, showing them.
Right. That's so true.
Yeah.
Because you can tell them, like, like I say to my husband, when we're in a disagreement, sometimes it's like, if I'm aggressive towards him and then I tell my kids not to be aggressive, it's like they're just going to say, but you are, like you don't figure out conflict through solutions. You just kind of get aggressive, which I'm obviously try to lead with solutions, but like they watch us, and yeah, I think that you look at your kids and you go like, oh, they're all the greatest parts of me. And they're also the negative parts of me too. You know what I mean? Like the things that I struggle with, are the emotions that I kind of deal with, are also the emotions that my kids deal with, because they're mirroring you, especially around 7 and 8. They say 7 and 8 is like the most prescient time. So it's like what you say is really important. And it's hard though, because like Roxy and I, like when you get really tired and you get kind of like, just overwhelmed with life, you can get snappy. And it's just like, oh my goodness, like I hope that they can be forgiving when you're kind of overwhelmed and stressed as well.
Yeah, it's like you don't want them to take that one negative episode.
And then it changes everything.
Yeah, and it changes everything, and then they forget about all the other 99% of the time where it's like
the times you said they were great.
Yeah, exactly. They're just gonna remember like that one time. They're like, oh. Yeah, it's scary. It's really daunting actually to think about that, because it's like you've got so much responsibility that it's just, it's kind of scary actually.
It only takes that one time to screw up a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
That one memorable time.
I'm sure has happened at this point.
You know what I do now? As I said, like, because yesterday I was really snappy with Phoenix because we had 7 hours of content to shoot in like 3 hours. And I said to her yesterday, I was like, I was kind of snappy. I wasn't the greatest mom today. And she was like, it's okay. And I said, no, it's not okay. Like I didn't say anything rude. I wasn't like say anything horrible to you, but I was snappy and I was like, come over here. Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? And I said, and I'm going to work on that. And I'm really sorry. And she goes, it's okay. I'll help you out, or whatever it was. I don't remember in our parents' generation, them ever apologizing to us. I just remember like getting, it's either a smack on the butt or like told to go to your room or told like that you're doing something wrong. But I never heard them go, you know what? I'm really sorry. Like I fucked up. Like I was stressed. Your dad was annoying me and I took it out on you. It's like, we didn't get any of that. We just got like told that we were bad. And I don't really believe in bad children. I believe in overwhelmed or exhausted or anxious or too much sugar or don't understand or just kids. Like, I don't believe that they're bad. I think there's a lot of other things that go on, but it's like, we didn't get, I know for me, it wasn't like, Dad and Mom are very sorry.
Right. Well, we were taught to like fear our parents, right? That they were like this authoritative, not like they were mean or cruel or anything like that, but like they were like the authorities, right? They were like the not authoritarians, but they were like the ones sort of that, we're at the top of the food chain. And we as kids, we're just supposed to like do what they say, not necessarily as they do, right? It was,
but
kind
fear
of like,
isn't respect. That's what we've learned through many people that we've had on the show, like many experts, is fear is fear. Fear is conform. Fear isn't respect. My children, I know, respect me. I do not think they fear me.
Right. Oh, I don't think my daughter fears me.
You're like, she does not fear me. She will come to me, and I want my daughter, like if she's taken drugs as a 15-year-old, knock on wood that doesn't happen, but if she does, she has a bad experience, I'm the first person she calls. Not that, oh my God, my mom and dad are going to be so angry at me that I'm going to not tell them. Right. So then what happens? The behavior continues and they don't tell you. So you can't protect them. Right.
Well, you know what I think it comes down to? I think, growing up, you can't be so controlling. You got to let them have their freedom to explore and learn, because at the end of the day, growing up, our survival mechanism is to learn, right? Through experience. And when we try to control their experiences, it's going to cause them to rebel and not feel comfortable to come to you and say, hey, this is what's going on, and really seek that advice. They're not going to feel that nurture, right? They're not going to feel like a safe they have that safety with you. So they're always going to rebel and then try to go other routes to avoid talking about that one specific event or whatever goes on. And have you ever noticed that the kids that don't really have the controlling parents are really the ones that, are more well behaved?
Yeah, and they talk to their parents and they like
Mhm.
go, Mom, I'm really struggling. Yeah, definitely. I think that the stricter the parents, there's just more. I think there's more lies. Like
Mhm.
I think that you keep it from your parents because you're just
Mhm.
too scared. Like my husband was like, it wasn't like scary, but like, his mom was very strict.
Mhm.
And so he just didn't tell her things,
Yeah.
Well,
and
I,
it's
I
like
think
that breaks my heart.
Yeah.
I think it also comes down to, them feeling judged, right? Nobody
Mhm.
likes to feel judged. And, we don't want to disappoint our parents, especially. So we try to go every single route where we're not being judged in a certain perspective from our parents,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So I think that we're always trying to appease. And if that means going the opposite route, where we're
Mhm.
not actually going to them with the problems, making it seem like we're perfect, but then getting caught in the long run,
Mhm.
I think that's what's happening there, that judgmental factor from controlling parents.
Yeah, and we
Mhm.
have to make them feel safe too. It's like a safe place that they can talk and, be open with communication and feel like they're being heard.
Mhm. So, Mike, tell us, because I just want to get a few tips from you before you leave.
Mhm.
When it comes to business and being an entrepreneur, what do you think are the main things that people do wrong?
Mm.
They can't effectively communicate. I think
Mm.
that's the biggest problem. At the end of the day, no matter what position you are within a company, entrepreneur, not entrepreneur, everything comes down to sales, right?
Mm.
Whether you like it or not. Because, for example, you guys are interviewing me. You guys are either selling me on ideas or I'm selling you on ideas. So we're either being sold, we're either selling or we're being sold, right?
Mhm.
So even a job interview, you go in there, you're trying to sell them on you.
Mm.
So I think that not looking at it as sales, but being able to effectively communicate your ideas and really persuade or influence somebody to shift their perspective. I
Mm.
think that's huge in business in general because we don't understand what we're saying. And
Mm.
as we were talking about on my podcast, it really comes down to what I call, clearing the understanding of a word, right? Because we don't really understand what we're saying. We're using words that are so commonly used and we think we know what it means. And then we say a statement thinking we know what the whole sentence is going to mean to somebody.
Mhm.
But what I know the meaning of the word is, someone else might look at it in a different perspective. So when I tell it to
Mhm.
them, it can be a completely different understanding within that statement. So now we're not effectively communicating. We're not truly understanding each other.
Mhm.
And it comes
Mhm.
down to actively listening to understand and then validate by responding accordingly. Everything comes down to
Mhm.
love. Because if I'm saying something and you guys have something to say, you're grabbing onto bits and pieces and formulating your response while not fully being present to truly actively listen, to understand and connect.
Mm.
And then you're not responding accordingly. And now I feel invalidated,
Mhm.
right? So I think that's the biggest part, whether business or life in general, becoming a better communicator by truly understanding what you're saying.
Mm.
Mm. That's a great point. You really have to be like a keyed in listener, and take in what people are saying.
And what do you think about like growth? Because
Mm.
the word growth mindset has been said on our podcast like in the last sort of month. And so I'm constantly saying to like my husband, like, I'm practicing growth mindset. And I mainly understand what it is.
Uh-huh.
But for people who don't understand what a growth mindset is, can you explain it? And can you explain like why it's so important in business?
Mm.
Well, first things first, in business, if you have a team, I think that you should, be investing into your team. Teach them about money, teach them about personal growth and development, because as everybody else is bettering themselves, guess what? The whole company's bettering as a whole.
Yeah, that's true.
You're only as strong as
Mhm.
your weakest candidate, right?
Mm.
So at the end of the day, the top of the company should constantly be investing into their team to better themselves, whether it's in correlation with that department that they're in, or whatever it is, just to get them to sharpen their skills, their abilities, etc. And that brings a sense of security to the team as well. Hey, you know what, our leader cares about us, they're investing into us. This is somewhere where I truly see myself for the long term.
Mm.
But when it comes down to the growth mindset, I think that it really just it's coming down to understanding yourself, understanding the reason why you are doing what you're doing.
Mm.
Most people don't understand the reason why they're doing what they're doing. That why, I tell everybody this: your why needs to have a pain point attached to it. What do I mean by this? If your why does not have a pain point attached to it, what you're doing is you're pushing to achieve that goal, right? That shit's going to die right out because you're pushing. What if you have a pain point attached to your why? What happens is it creates a pull to achieve. It keeps you intentional with your actions because it's basically like the yin and yang. That pain point is I know where I've been, and the reason why I want to achieve this is because I know where I know where I've been in that point in my life, and I want to get as far away as possible from that pain point. So it keeps me intentionally striving towards actually achieving this goal, so I'm never in that situation again. So I think it really comes down to the understanding of the reasons why you're doing what you're doing.
And how do people find their purpose?
I mean, this comes down to my morning ritual. Disengage. Ask yourself a couple questions. What is my why? Well, first of all, before that, what do I want to achieve personally, professionally, financially? Right? Write them down. Each goal needs to have an affiliation with your why to some sort of pain point. So this way, it actually brings substance to actually trying to achieve a goal, right? Then write down 3 targets per goal. What can I do today that's going to get me a step closer to achieving my goal? This is really going to help you. I'm not even joking. I do this every morning, every night. Every morning, I write down my why, reinforce the pain point. I write down my goals. My goals are in line with my why, right? And then for each goal that I have, 3 targets. Now I'm using that as a checklist. Now I'm getting all these small wins throughout the day. I'm progressing, right? Because all those little wins is giving me a sense of progression, which is giving me a sense of fulfillment. Fulfillment is a key ingredient to happiness. At the end of the day, I write down my why again. Got to reinforce that pain point. My goals again, repetition. Repetition makes permanence. Constantly writing it down. Then I write down new targets per goal, and then accomplished targets. Now I'm literally basically going ahead and putting all my progression down on paper that I can go back a month later and really see how many of the little things I've actually done, right? Success and failure are not one big event. It's a buildup of all the small things that you either did or didn't do that got you there. So those small things are really what matter. Don't focus on the bigger picture. Start small and build up.
Becomes less overwhelming then too. I think when you start with like those little points versus like if you try to take it in the whole big picture, that gets overwhelming.
And also like when people find their purpose, I think when you have children, like you kind of lose it a little bit. You kind of get, your purpose is your kids for quite a while, especially when your purpose is always your kids. When they're young, they're just so demanding. But it's about like, what did you used to love? Remember I said, we were talking about like when we were doing the Unzipped podcast, like I'm ready to fall in love with acting again. Like I want to fall in love with it because I stopped loving it and it just became a job. And even my social media, which is, a whole, to some people, it's just for us, we create content. Like instead of it just being something like, oh, I have to create content. I want to be like, I get to create content. I get to make people laugh. I get to make people feel connected. I get to financially support my family. Like it's just like a shift in perspective of like falling in love again with the things that you used to love. And so like if people don't know what their purpose is, it's like, well, what did you love? And it doesn't even have to be, because I think sometimes we feel like our purpose has to make us money, and more times it actually does make us money, because when you're doing something you love, it starts to come back. But sometimes it doesn't really have to even be that. Like, one of my biggest purposes, which I haven't done for a long time, is to help people. And I feel like I'm doing it in certain ways on my Instagram, but it's really like, I've been volunteering a lot more and like giving money to like, people that just randomly just need it, like those acts of kindness. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that used to be so me. And it used to give me so much, like just helping people. And I think these days, like we're so like into like what it does for us and how it can help us. Cause when you're a parent, you're just like, well, how am I going to feed my family? And like we operate out of like scarcity, and we're constantly afraid that there'll be nothing else. There'll be no more money. There'll be no more jobs. But I think when we give back a lot more, like, for me, I feel like I'm starting to find some purpose in that too. And then it also helps my other purpose, if that makes sense.
Right.
Can I jump in for a second real quick?
Please.
So you said something right there, that your purpose is your kids, right? I think that's the wrong route to go. Your purpose.
I do too. I do. I agree with you. Like I just, maybe that wasn't the right word. Like I feel like your kids demand your attention especially the first couple of years of their lives, that it takes away maybe your deeper purpose.
I think that's your perspective, though. Does it really have to take away? Maybe it's going to put more of a time frame on whatever you're doing, but I don't think it's taking away. When you're looking at that, you're looking at a place from scarcity.
Right.
But you got to start thinking in abundance. But the reason why I'm saying don't make your kids your purpose. You got to make yourself your purpose. What are you doing for you? Because at the end of the day, when it comes down to doing it for the kids, that means, all right, look, don't chase the money, chase being a person of value. So that means utilizing your full potential and going and getting what you're worth, so you can lead by example for the kids rather than making a priority to make a safe haven for them. Show them what it takes to create their own life. That's the best way that you're actually going to be able to raise kids the proper way and really show them, hey, this is you, own it, go get it, bring your true self out to the world.
That's a good point.
Because when your purpose are your kids and then they leave for college, then what? Do you know what I mean? Like, you're lost. So many people get lost because they put their whole lives into their children, which is, of course, it's amazing. But what happens is, like, then what? You know, even I think that about, I've been with my husband 15 years and it's like, you know, I knock on wood, nothing happens or whatever. But like, I also need to stand on my own 2 feet without us, because I feel like we have some codependency, and I feel like it's really important to also be 2 standing people that just adds value to each other's lives rather than, like, you know, it's so intertwined. Because what happens when you get older, you know, things change. So
well, I don't believe in codependency. I think I believe in more interdependency. Right. So more, okay, when we're together, okay, how are we both contributing to each other's lives? But hey, when we're apart, hey, you know what? Do your thing. I'm supporting you. I'm there.
Yeah, I would way prefer that. But I think when you have codependency or you see codependency in your life, then it's very easy to fall into that trap because you think that that's normal, but it isn't. It's sometimes you think it's love, and it is love, but there's parts of it that I think can be unhealthy.
You know, as I was saying, I mean, you ever hear the saying that when you love them, set them free? Same thing with kids. If you love them, set them free to go gain their own experiences and live life their themselves, truly find themselves. You know, don't be so dependent on you, because at the end of the day, when you really go ahead and let them have their freedom, you're teaching them to walk by themselves. Because you're not going to be there for the rest of their lives, are you? Well,
we hope.
Well,
no, we don't hope, actually. Well, I mean, we hope, but we don't know.
You saying you don't want that time with your husband later on when they're 18 and up?
Yeah, I might be excited about that when that rolls around.
I don't know. So, it's gonna be interesting. It's why you gotta appreciate what you have now, because I'm sure when the pitter patter of little feet aren't there, you miss that.
Yeah,
100%.
You know, old chapters, right?
I got 18 years ahead of me, so.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Right, Rox?
Yes, that was great. A lot of good jewels you left us with to take in, and I'm sure our audience is going to be stoked to hear this. So thank you.
So where can people find you? Where can people see you? I know you tour, podcasts, all the things. Please let us know.
Honestly, the best place to reach me is on Instagram at Mike Ashabi, MikeAshabi. And just for your guys' podcast, if you guys go ahead and DM me with the name of the podcast, I'll give the first 5 people a free copy of my book.
Oh, that's a great deal. That's exciting.
I love it. We'll take anything free.
Well, you guys got to send me your addresses. I'll send you guys a copy too.
Mine's kind of far. It's in Australia, but you know, I know good. Books still come here. In the outback. Although I ordered batteries and it took like 2 weeks. So I'm like, well, thank you so much, guys. And please follow us on Women on Top Official on Instagram.
And Women on Top podcast on Facebook, and our Women on Top group on Clubhouse. And please don't forget to rate, subscribe, and comment wherever you get your podcasts.
Yes, they're everywhere. And thanks, guys. We love you so much. I am Tammin Sarsock.
And I am Roxy Manning.
And we are, take it away, Mike, Women
on Top.
Here we go. Cut.